What are we as humans if we don't interact with each other? However, we will never know that answer, for it is inherent in human nature to interact with other people. We are social creatures, and as a result, we need to understand the differences among us when it comes to socialization. My name is Jill Gerard, and I'm a psychology major. My partner for this project is Emma, and she is a criminology major. Throughout this project, we were taught that even though we may have gone through similar life experiences, we still handle social interaction differently. While interviewing each other, we found out we manage stress, relationships, and conflicts slightly different compared to the other, despite our weird amount of similarities. The first difference we found in each other was how to handle stress. Stress is something that we all as people experience. After something stressful has happened, we handle it in different ways, and that varies from person to person. That was one of the first things we realized about each other during our questionnaire.
I use books as a way to deal with stress. After something stressful has happened in my life, I usually end up reading after. One time I had a really stressful day of classes and I had a lot of assignments due that day. But once the day was over and I had finished all the work I had to do, I relaxed by reading a new book.
Instead of reading, I rely on video games to calm me down. Whenever I get back from a high stress situation, I know I can always play some video games to calm me down. I once remember writing this paper, and it felt as if my brain was completely fried, like I was in a vegetized state. I ended up messing around with some friends on League, and I instantly felt better. And that was feeling of stress diminishing was very much needed, to say the least. What we do to combat stressors in our life may be different and appeal to people in certain ways. While I personally may fit in more with those that play video games, Emma may fit in with more readers. As a result, how we handle stress gives us insight on the type of people we gravitate towards naturally. Now that we've talked about how we handle stress differently, let's move on to our differences in relationships. Both Emma and I value deep connections with people. We do so by having a thin boundary with our personal lives and lay all information out on the table. However, Emma does not do this in all scenarios.
I maintain romantic relationships and friendships differently. In friendships, I share a lot quicker and become closer faster than I would in romantic relationships. When I'm making friends, I tend to make deeper connections quicker, and I end up with friends that know almost everything about me. On the other hand, when it comes to romantic relationships, I don't share a lot of personal information for a very long time, and this leads to those relationships not going anywhere.
Compared to me, I spill everything out on the table. I value deep connections between people. However, when those people leave, it hurts a lot. I fear that if I don't tell someone everything, and if they find out something new about me, they'll leave after we've formed a deep connection together. As a result, I have a thin boundary with a lot of my personal information, so that if anyone new comes into my life and chooses to no longer be a part of it, we would have yet to form a deep connection. Our differences in relationships allow us to understand and learn from one another. We both value deep connections and being open to our friends, but we both may struggle with romantic relationships more since I overshare and Emma rarely shares at all. After recognizing our differences and forming relationships, we found our final difference in how we handle conflict. We both have similar views in conflict. We both believe that if you started the problem, you need to face it on head first. You need to start the conversation. You need to apologize. You need to fix it. That the issue starter should be the one making amends and not the ones affected. However, we have different ways to go about these beliefs.
The way I handle conflict depends on the situation, but for the most part, I will accommodate as much as I can until I can't take it anymore, and then I will confront the situation. This leads to a lot of tension in relationships, and it causes me a lot of stress since I feel like I can't speak up in certain instances. Since I deal with conflict this way, it usually leads to more conflict in the end.
When conflict comes my way, however, my brain has the tendency to go into fixer mode, as I call it. I will confront people, talk it all out, and find solutions to appease everyone in the situation. While I hate confronting people just like everyone else, I still do it in order to not let the problem go unsolved. I learned from a young age that problems need to be solved immediately before they become a larger issue at hand. As a result, I have gained a problem solver mentality to combat conflict. The difference in the way we handle conflict is that I immediately combat the situation while Emma tends to accommodate before she confronts them to try and solve the problem that way. The way that Emma deals with conflict can cause more problems than it solves, and the way that I deal with conflict gets it over with right away.
In conclusion, this experience brought together two eerily similar people, but we still managed to find small differences between the two of us. Throughout our interview, we found out we handle stress, relationships, and conflict the same way, but with slightly different approach to our shared beliefs. I'd say the best way to describe us at the end of the day is same people, but different fonts.